So, mic check. Nice. Hello and welcome again. This is another episode of, again, whatever this is. I haven't found the name for this series yet. I'm working on it. I'm conceptualizing some things. Meanwhile, I don't want to waste time. I'm just spewing some information out in the world. And so, okay, episode 3 of spewing information. You may have seen the previous 2 episodes, which are centered around concepts in my book titled Real Life Cybersecurity, How Program Building Actually Works. This particular video centers around frequently asked questions that I get about my book. And so since I get these questions so often, I decided to just address them in one video. So let's get right into it. Question number 1, why did I decide to write this book? I've discussed this before briefly, but let me discuss it in a little bit more detail in this video, since that's the point. Well, I decided to write it because there are a lot of gaps in knowledge in the cybersecurity world. We just kind of try to build systems for cybersecurity that don't fit together because we don't understand how to strategically do things. And so because I have spotted this pain point so many times, I just decided to explain the formula or provide a formula that anyone can use in any organization. And spoiler alert, it's rooted in 5 big concepts. The biggest among them is risk management. Some other satellite concepts are asset management, designing metrics, designing controls for cybersecurity, and so on. I have another video strictly talking about this formula that I call the golden toolbox. And I even have other sections in the book that are about how to expedite some sections of the formula. So if you're curious, do visit that other video and get a detailed explanation. Question number 2, how did I get published? It's interesting. People assume I got lucky with a production house or something similar. That's not the case. The book is independently published using Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing. If you don't know what that is, I will have some links in the description. If you're an aspiring author of any type, not just for technical books, it's a great way to get started. It does a lot of heavy lifting for you. All you have to provide is a book cover and a manuscript. Everything else is taken care of by Amazon. I'm not sponsored in any way, to be clear. I just had a good experience publishing my book. It was very easy, and so I recommend it if you have the same ambition. Question number 3 that I get often in this day and age. The text was written by AI, right? You just prompted ChatGPT and you got a book out of it. Absolutely not. The only AI elements in the book are 3 pictures that I used to illustrate the titles of 3 sections in the book, or the 3 sections of the book. Every piece of text in the book is written by me. One other way that I used AI, full disclosure, is speech to text. So when my fingers got a little bit tired of typing or writing on a piece of paper, I would just pull up my phone, use a recorder, and just dictate my thoughts, and then I would get them in text, and then I could easily arrange them within the text of the book. So that's another way I used AI, but in terms of creativity, in terms of the concepts, everything around that, it's all me, it's all my words, my language. That's the point of the book, presenting it in a really mundane and hopefully humorous way. I'm making some attempts at humor, although the subject matter is still very serious. But the whole point is expressing myself naturally so that the concepts can be close and can hit close to home for people who are reading the book. Another question is, who designed the cover? Well, I designed it myself. It's not hyper professional. I think you can tell it's the work of someone who's trying but who's not an expert. And so that's a good way to describe me in terms of design. I took the picture myself, which is on the cover, in an undisclosed location in Germany. I'm not gonna say where. It's just night photography, and I really enjoy that, and I just love the scenery, and I took it. However, it's serving as an analogy for the book, the concept, the message from the book. What we see portrayed usually as the night sky is like this really dark blue, really neat, homogeneous thing. However, the night sky is full of intricate details, stars, clouds, all of the above. And in the same way, the way we see cybersecurity portrayed in textbooks usually is this very neat, straightforward thing: just protect, just do things, just write measures and write documentation about them and just go there and implement. Whereas I'm trying to say it's a little bit more nuanced than that. There is a formula you can follow, just like I have a formula I followed to take that picture. I knew what exposures to set and so on. So there is something to help you navigate that. However, it's not as straightforward and as neat as just do security. You need a little bit of help to make it make sense and to communicate it efficiently. And so that's the analogy I'm trying to make with the cover. Where can I find the book is another question I get. Obviously on Amazon, as I mentioned, it's through Kindle Direct Publishing. And so I'll have links all over. Just go to the page. If you like what you see, if you're convinced by the message, feel free to grab a copy. Again, commercial success is not really my goal, though it would be really nice if I get the recognition I believe the book deserves. And so I encourage you to check out the book page on Amazon if you're convinced, if you're truly bought into the formula of the book, the message the book is trying to deliver. Feel free to grab a copy for yourself and feel free to give me honest feedback. You can always get in touch on LinkedIn or in any other way you'd like. You can even leave a review and with your honest opinion, and that would be amazing feedback for me. Another question: why the toolbox analogy? It's just a nice educational method. It's an educational shorthand that I'm using, that I'm trying to employ in order to get the concepts of security, which are really nebulous and abstract usually, closer to home, closer to day-to-day things, and trying to disambiguate security for even security engineers. Because I truly believe even in the security industry, we have a hard time understanding those concepts. We might really understand the technical stuff in detail, but never be able to link that to a strategic concept. And so this is the point of this book. I'm trying to show you in real mundane terms what the value of those strategic concepts is. What about the other sections of the book? The book is 3 major parts. One of them is the Golden Toolbox. The other one is, controversially, how you can expedite some parts of the Golden Toolbox if you're in an environment that allows for it. I explain what kinds of environments those could be also in the book, but that part is good for people in a hurry, I guess. The third part is more of a reference guide to a lot of cybersecurity concepts. Some are technical, some are strategic, some are somewhere in between. And so you can just have it somewhere on your bookshelf, in your Kindle library, whatever the case might be, and just go back to it whenever you need a quick explanation about a concept in a non-search engine kind of way, which is just, here's a really boring textbook definition, but rather, this is the concept and here are some best practices around it. It's a really personal guide to cybersecurity, I would say, and then you can just have it and refer to it. The third part I call Explore the Workshop, which is, okay, here's the main toolbox that we're using, but there are plenty of things around the workshop, including some small things we've built, some tools we've used, etc., etc. You want an explanation? It's a tour guide of the workshop that I'm providing to you as the owner of the workshop, I guess, in this scenario. The next question is, who is this book for? Predominantly, it's for people aspiring to leadership in cybersecurity, especially aspiring CISOs. I would argue it's also for anyone working in cybersecurity who wants a better understanding of the big picture. I would argue it's also for other types of leaders with a lot of power in an organization. In the tech world, that could be your CTOs, your CFOs, etc. But it could be any other type of leader. And again, I touched upon this in the first episode, but it doesn't have to be that you're implementing these things as a different kind of leader, but you might be supervising some of the activities, or you just want to understand how the security cake is baked, so to speak. And so it's a great book for you to understand the formula. Another very common questions that I get challenged on a lot: what are my qualifications that mean I am able to speak on these things. Number one, a lot of formal training. I'm not going to go into all my credentials, just check out my LinkedIn if you feel like it. I know my stuff, I hope you can agree, and if you don't, we can talk about it. However, I know my stuff. I'm not going to get into all my qualifications and different trainings I've been through and certifications. They don't necessarily mean everything. They're just a nice framework, theoretical framework for all the concepts that I'm presenting. I'm not saying certifications make my experience or make my qualifications, but they're definitely a strong foundation that you can build upon. The second part of my qualifications is a whole lot of experience with these things, sometimes even single-handedly, having to do them myself and having to just establish an end-to-end thing for an organization, which I've done multiple times under multiple parameters for compliance, from different standards to different regulations to different geographic locations. So yeah, experience is my biggest component in this book. I devised the formula based on things that I needed based on experience. The third part of my qualifications is communication. I'm able to simplify these concepts and present them to you in a way that you can digest. And so in security, we underestimate the power of communication, and we underestimate this ability to communicate those concepts to security and non-security people alike. And so that's the third part of my set of qualifications that helped me write this book. Another really cool question, one might say it's a challenge to the idea I'm putting forth, but that's actually a great thing. Why my book and not some cybersecurity course or other book that's based on a formal certification program? I would argue that there's absolutely nothing wrong with cybersecurity certifications or any kind of formal training that you might go through. In fact, I encourage you to do it. It's not that my book is a substitute for all the trainings out there or anything similar, or even maybe university degrees that have to do with cybersecurity. My book is not trying to replace those. However, it's a resource that links all those concepts together in a simple, digestible way and presents you with a formula you can follow step by step if you're trying to implement things in practice. So by all means, watch the cybersecurity trainings, do the certifications, maybe get a formal education like a university degree if you have the opportunity. However, remember that those are really detailed and formal concepts, and you have to apply them somehow. And my book is just linking all these things together, distilling them down to a smaller scope and formula, and helping you to implement them in practice. So that's my answer. All right, awesome. Thanks for listening. I appreciate your time, and until the next one.